Hello. Hello, my friends. Look at you, so prompt. I'm delighted to see you. I told my friend Audrey that if I was talking to nobody, I'd still give a bang up talk today. Hey, Courtney, how are you? I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be here. I got a bunch of people registered. I can't wait to see who all shows up. I'm going to start talking and give you guys some of the housekeeping things to keep in mind. Today's webinar is on how to create time, and I am Jessica Heimsoth. I am an ADHD life coach for Christians, and I work with the mind. I help you figure out your own mind and use it to get more things done. So time is a huge thing that most of us feel like we don't have enough of, and you can create it. And that's what I want to help you learn how to do today. So a couple of things for you. There's, if you're unfamiliar with Zoom, I'm going to give you a couple of little pieces. There's a chat box that you can use to talk to everybody. Over at the bottom, you can click on the chat box and it'll pop up on the right-hand side of your screen. You want to set that setting to everyone if you want everybody to see what you say. And I will be glancing at the chat box. So if you have thoughts, questions, if you like want an example of a point that I'm talking about that I don't give an example for, you can shoot that into the chat box. If a lot of people start talking in that chat box, it will start to move too fast for me to see. And at that point, if you really want to ask me a question, there's another place you can put it. That's the Q&A box on the bottom of your screen. So if you add something to the Q&A box, I will stop and try to address that. What else do I need to tell you? I have notes. I will be referring to them. I'm also known to go off script. So if I do that, I apologize. It'll still be valuable. It just may not be exactly what you thought you'd be getting. But I'm going to try to stay on topic for you. At the end of the talk that I have prepared, we can do a Q&A, and if there's anyone who would love some live coaching, my plan is to offer live coaching. A little bit of that depends on timing, but live coaching is essentially I'll pull one of you on video, one of you who consents to having that done, and actually talk back and forth with you. We can also go back and forth a little in the chat box. If you prefer not to do things live, we can do the chat. So let's get going. So I just want to start out talking about time. I Googled time, which you should all do, because we really think time is a lot more tangible than it is. Google time and watch the people recording videos about it. It will soon get so complicated. Like Einstein said time and space were the same thing, that it's not this distinct thing the way that we think about it. So what I want to offer you as a definition of time today is that time is a mental construct. It's something we make up in our minds to help us make decisions about what to do in the present moment. I will be referring back to that definition. You're welcome to chew on that and see what you think. But one of the only things we actually have ever is the present moment. Like, we don't have the future. We don't have an hour that we can, plug into our bodies or something. What we have is how we're thinking about ourselves and the world and the possibilities available to us. How will we use them? So you can imagine hours from now. It's a mental construct. You can imagine an hour, and in that imagining, it'll help you decide what to do now. The more hours you imagine, whether it's like 1, whether it's 24, whether it's a 10-year plan, it will change, it will alter what you do in the present moment. So it'll alter your decision making. An example of this is like, it's getting close to summertime, and some of us are thinking about going to the beach or the pool with our children, and that imagining how that's getting closer, right, is making us second guess whether we want to have that second sleeve of Oreos, right? Just me. Yeah, if we're thinking about further into the future, it might change how we decide to spend money now. It alters things depending on what you want to think of. And you don't have the future yet. It's maybe coming, God willing. But your mind, what you think about will change how you decide. So I want to offer to you that that's what time is for. We make it up in our minds so that we can decide what to do now and take decisive action. So you don't have hours, you don't not have hours. They're not even something you can have. When I talk about creating more time, I'm not talking about adding hours to your day. Funny, I asked my Instagram followers, how many hours would you need to get things done? And most people were like 3 full days. I need a 10-day week to get everything done. Or they were like, there's no end. You can't get things done. So I'm not talking about adding hours to your day, but what I am talking about is you getting very clear on what you do have. If you don't have hours, what do you have? And how are you using what you have? And how could you be using it? That's what we want to talk about today. And the result will be that you will create more time for yourself. It's essentially a work in how to think so that you have more of what you want in life. Which is, by the way, how we were created. Like God imagined us, and then he took action and spoke us into being, and we are created in his image to do the same thing, to imagine something and to take action, to put it into being. So I want to offer that what you have is 3 things. Just camera, I'm distracting myself. What you have is 3 things. You have your experience of the present moment. So your experience of it includes what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're doing. And really that's what you have. Like, you don't even have what happens to you, because what happens to you, the way that you experience what happens to you, depends on how you're thinking and feeling and what you do. So your experience of the moment is really those 3 things: what I think, what I feel, what I do. That's what you have. You have that. You have your presence, like actually being here now. And you have God and your faith in his saving grace and his power and his sovereignty, like his control over what's going to happen. You have those 3 things always, and nobody can take those from you. For the most part, I suppose they can knock you out and now you don't have your experience or your presence. Here's my brain playing devil's advocate. Okay, let's just assume that you are conscious, right? Then you have these 3 things. So they all influence each other positively or negatively. And I believe a lot of us are allowing what we have to influence us in a way that's removing what we have. And then we're pursuing what we can't have. We want more time instead of more of and better quality of what we actually have. So I'm offering that you don't even want more time. You don't want more time, and you don't want to feel like you have a lot of time. And here's like an example of why I believe that. Imagine how it would feel to be doing like your most hated chore, the thing that you cannot stand, for hours. Shoot me if you guys are into answering questions. I would love to see in the chat box, like what would that chore be for you? Something that like you cannot stand it. What is that chore, and how would it feel to have to do it for hours upon end? Somebody break the ice for me. Thank you. Folding laundry and actually putting it away, washing dishes and laundry. It's so funny that it's those all the time. What else, you guys? And let me find my spot here. Yeah, I wrote down dishes, laundry, data entry, something. They never end. Fascinating, right? They never end. So how do you feel? How would you feel doing those things for a long period of time? Whatever long is for you, like 3-4 times the amount of time. Miserable, which is also what I wrote down. That's hysterical, Adriana. Tortured. What's fun? Like miserable. If we're feeling miserable, what happens to our experience of time? While you're feeling miserable, if you cannot leave, right? If you can leave, then we've solved the problem. But if you're feeling miserable, how long is that hour that you spent? It's got a lot more minutes. It drags on forever. Adriana, you could have written my script. That's also what I wrote down. It goes on forever. That's experience. That's like when that's us in our minds and in our feeling, time stretches because of what happened there. And we think it's because the laundry made it do that. But I want to offer that it's something you have a lot more control over, is how we're thinking and feeling. It's the experience of that moment that makes it seem like it lasts so long. We altered time because of how we felt, because of the experience there. We kind of created more of it in a way that we don't want to do. So pay attention to that. Like it doesn't, we can agree, I think, let me know if you disagree, that the experience of more time is not what we want. Like we don't want more time. We don't want to feel like we have lots of time if it feels like that. Like you could lock yourself in a prison and suddenly have all the time in the world, and your time would stretch because it would feel bad. That's not what we're looking for. We don't want to feel like we have tons of time. What I want to offer that what we're looking for is something a little different. We want to experience fullness. This is what Christ said he came to give us, was fullness of life. I want you to think about whether this is true, that what we want is not more time or even to feel like we have a lot of time, but it is to experience fullness in the time that we have, in our moments, in the moments as they pass, to feel full. And you might ask, full of what? Well, I want to turn that back to you. Whatever it is that you think you will finally have or be or feel or do if you had enough time. What is that? Tell me some of those things. Like if you had enough time, how would you get to feel? What would you get to be? What kind of person? What would you get to do? Peace, calmer. What else? This is going to be a big list for a lot of us. The things that we would get. Like if you got everything done, now what would you do? What would you feel? Because you still have moments. What am I going to do with these moments? Resting without my brain feeling like I had to do stuff. Interested. Finished. Beautiful. I want you guys on your own time, if you're willing to take me up on the challenge, to stretch that list out, to see what else would be on that list. Like, okay, if everything was done, but then you had a day, what would you get to feel during that day? What would you get to do? Who would you get to be? What if you had a week? Fullness of life, peace, interest, engagement. This is my list. Purpose, joy, curiosity, creativity, movement, super important to me. Love, work that matters, connection, contribution. And I attach these things to like activities a lot of times. A lot of us do this. Authenticity, wonder, beauty, peace is on my list as well. That's fullness of life. A lot of these are feelings. It'll be all of these that you guys wrote down. Peace, an emotion, it's a feeling. Interest, an emotion. Finished, the feeling of being done is an emotion. Some of the other things that you'll end up finding on your fullness of life list will be like abstract ideas, but a lot of them will be feelings. Keep that in mind, it's very important. So imagine a week or a day, even if you can't imagine a week, but imagine a day, a week, a month, filled with peace and calm and interest, filled with the finality of like the satisfaction of being done, filled with some of the things on my list. Imagine that. How would you feel while you're in the middle of that experience and having this day filled with all of these awesome emotions? What would that be like? What would you think about that? You guys are like, I didn't know I was going to have to participate this much. It's supposed to be a webinar. Somebody step up or tell me if I'm being unclear too. Like, hey, I don't know what you're asking. Makes me think of Proverbs 31, laugh at the days to come. Yeah, I love that. I love that. It sounds like a very not anxious way to exist, right? Hopeful, cool. Now imagine like looking back at that. This week that I spent experiencing these things, experiencing what Jessica is calling fullness of life. To look back at your life and to see that that is how you spent your time. A lot of us are worried about looking back. Courtney says, I would feel warm and fuzzy inside and think it was a great day. Yeah, I just had a great day. Now think about how that compounds going into your next day, going into your next week. And looking back, a lot of us are worried that we will not have spent our time well. If you can look back and you know how you spent it was feeling peace, and calm, and joy, and love, and curiosity, and adventure, and the things on these lists, you can look back and go, that is how I existed. How would you feel about the way you spent your life? You don't have to answer, like, I know I'm firing questions at you really quickly. You don't have to answer all of these. Think about this, right? I'm going to keep going. Some of you, oh, wait, I missed a piece. And this is important. If that was your experience all the time, would it even really matter what you were doing? Like now you're doing the dishes and the laundry and you're experiencing like wonder and beauty. That may be too much. Let's just call it peace. Literally feeling at peace doing the laundry. Would it really matter? Maybe it does. Let's like I'm not feeding you answers here. Maybe it still matters, but see how it changes. See how what matters changes when you think about experiencing your life that way. Now, some of you are thinking, duh, like obviously that's what I'm looking for. I know that I want fullness of life. I know I want to feel good. I know I want to be a certain type of person. That's why I'm working so damn hard to get my list done. That's why I want more time so I can do that, right? Shoot me a thumbs up if that's something that you're thinking. If that's not what anybody's thinking, then we'll revert. Like, yeah, I want fullness of life, so I have to get this list done. That's why I need more time. Let me know if that's you guys. Makes me think of volunteering at the airport and church. Audrey, tell me more about that. Is it Jason? Jason DeBon? Yes, that's you. Okay, good. I'm gonna keep going on that line. Some of my best memories were working. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's fascinating too. But laughing and joking with friends. Yeah, beautiful. So any time that we do what Jason and I do, which is to think, I have to work so hard so that I can finally get that fullness of life. What we have encountered is what I want to offer to you as a thought error. Is the belief that my fullness of life is one goal or three goals. It's like out there. It's a couple of steps away, and all I have to do is go out there to get it. Right? That it's not here, it's out there. I finally get to experience that after I have achieved something. One more goal away. That you can't, hold on a second. I want to read this comment. Yeah, you guys are like ahead of me, I feel. This is a good group. I love it. So, oh, the idea that you cannot be or do or have or feel, which by the way, those are the four legs of goal setting. Be, do, have, feel. These are the only things we want. That you can't have those things until you reach a certain point, or until you gain a certain amount of money, or until you get knowledge, or until you get power, or until. It's there, not here. When you believe something like this, examine your life to see where this might be true, because for sure, at least in some area, this is going to be true for you. I can't have this until I get that. When you believe this, it does a couple of things. The first thing that it does is it pitches your brain. Your brain is like a Google, it's like a search engine. And it tells your brain to stop looking for certain information. It says, okay, since we now believe fullness of life is out there, we must stop looking for it now because that would be confusing. We certainly wouldn't want to believe two semi-opposing thoughts at the same time. So your brain, once you believe I have to go get that before I can feel this, it stops providing you evidence to the contrary, which means that you stop getting evidence to enjoy what you have. You stop receiving the evidence that you can experience peace and the finality of being done, satisfaction of being done now. You start to think that it will only come when something else. The other thing that it does when you think that fullness of life is out there is that it cranks up your desire to get somewhere really quickly, which makes you feel rushed, right? I need that. So now I have to push. Now two things have occurred. I think some of you will laugh at this. What happens is you feel bad that you're not experiencing fullness now. Feel bad. Feeling bad, what does that do? It stretches your time. Simultaneously, you feel rushed to go get somewhere, which squishes your time. It makes you frantic. It makes you like stop being present. Actually, both of those things make you stop being present. Feeling bad and feeling rushed both make you stop being present. But one of them is stretching your time and one of them is compressing it. And that is a fascinating conundrum. Like, how is it possible that we're lengthening our day, like making it feel unbearably long, and also making it vanish like that, and we don't get to do what we wanted? How many of you had this experience? This happens to me, where it's like, this day was so long and nothing happened in it. What is going on here? Okay, this is possible, that's possible because time is a mental construct. Time is a mental construct that helps us make decisions in the present moment. So if our mind is creating negative emotions by thinking that what we want is out there and we have to go get it now, time is going to do this weird thing where it's two things at once, because our brains can do that. That's how powerful we are. Courtney's hand is up. Are you saying that like guilty, or are you saying you have a question? Let me know. She's like, Mimi, pick me. Perfect. Yes, I agree. Okay, good. So where am I? We have a lot of notes, you guys. I rewrote this like 10 times. It was wonderful. It was beautiful. Okay, so yeah, also, if we think we have to do a bunch of stuff to make our lives feel full, we also feel like we never have enough time, which makes us feel worse. And now time does the stretch compress thing again. Like it's this horrible downward spiral. So we'll be frantic and we'll be stagnating at the same time because of what we believe. And let me just make this worse. I'm just going to combine this. That will be so painful. All of these negative emotions that we're like piling on top of each other are going to be so painful that we give up another one of the things that we have, which is our presence. When you feel negative emotions, if you have not trained yourself to process them, which is something you can all learn and should all learn, I will teach you. I got you. If you haven't learned that yet, what your body will make you do is try to escape that moment, escape that experience. The experience is negative now. We've made it that way with our minds. So now you want to escape it. So what we do is we check out, right? We go to sugar, we go to shopping, we go to pornography, we go to drugs, we go to a lot of Netflix and a lot of scrolling. In today's age, these are the things that we do because we're feeling bad, which we made true by our mind. I'm going to keep coming back to that. And then to escape that uncomfortable negative emotion, we go to removing ourselves from the present moment. Well, as anyone who's ever like hyper-focused or binge watched an entire season of something or multiple seasons of something, and you emerge from that and you're like, oh, it's Tuesday. What happened? Like, no time. Now we've done the thing again. We've done that. Oh my gosh, I've removed time. And you look back on that week and you feel empty. Oh my gosh, so much of my life. There's no fullness of life in those moments where we check out. You need to be present to experience that fullness. So it gets worse from there. There's only one more level of worseness. Worseness? We will watch our faith dwindle when these things start happening. Because our experience now, like we kicked off the experience, made ourselves feel bad by what we believed, and then we started checking out. And now our experience doesn't match what God tells us. Like, we'll read the Bible and he's like, you have everything you need. I came to bring you fullness of life. Like, don't worry about your future. I give the birds clothing and food, or the flowers clothing and the birds food. I got you. You can do all things through Christ. I have a plan to give you hope and a future. Like, recite the verses that you're going to have trouble believing now, because your experience informs what you believe also. This is the fantastic thing about our humanity, is that we can create an experience and then use that experience to double down on the thing that we believe to make it happen. Self-fulfilling prophecies. This is how this works. Awesome, Jason. Thanks for coming. I will be sending out the replay. So now we have an experience that doesn't match God's word and a strong inclination to believe our experience. So now we have this logical belief in what God said. If that's, if you believe the Bible, if you believe what God says, you're like, yeah, that's true, but here's what I see. And it feels more real and it feels more pressing. So I'm just going to keep operating on this system. And then you end up living a life that doesn't quite match what God says, and feeling that friction and not being able to see what God could do in your life if you went all in on what he says. So end rant. Just went on a really big rant there. My hope is that telling you guys all of this will help you start to see and get off of autopilot and start to question the things that you've been believing about time and what you need to do. And I'm going to try to help you with some of this. Your life may not be like, I kind of painted a worst case scenario. This has been my life. This has been my experience that I've entered this whirlwind downward spiral, believing things about my time that make me feel awful, which makes me check out, which makes me feel worse, which makes me check out more, and then like frantically try to get things done. My solution is that we start to reclaim the things that we have instead of chasing after the thing that we cannot have more of, which is time. You don't get more of time. But if you reclaim what you have, if you reclaim your faith and in what God tells you, and your presence and your experience, that's where you get to make sure that you have the fullness of life, which will make it seem like you have enough time, because that's where it comes from. So let's talk about how to do some of that. I want to start at the bottom of the list, the most important part. When we examine a truth of God that doesn't seem to quite click, like we know it's true, but we don't feel it. A lot of times there's a black and white. Either we believe it all the way or we don't, and we try to believe it all the way. This is positive thinking. This is where like you hear people say, well, just think positive, or like be optimistic, or you just got to believe, you just got to have faith. And what I want to offer is that there are stepping stones to believe. Sometimes we get to shift a belief really quickly, and that's great. But a lot of the time you need to bump up from your experience and take tiny steps upward into a belief that you want to have. So when God says, this is the truth, and you're like, I want to believe that, I don't feel that. What you want to do is start with possible, not positive. Don't positive think, possible think. So take some thoughts of God that you're like, man, if I believed that, my life would be different, right? And start to ask yourself, if this were possible, like if it's possible if it's possible that this is true, if I were going to believe that today, how would it change what I think or what I decide to do. What would I do different if I believed this? You notice how we're creating a lot of distance between that belief. So you don't have to feel like you've given up the safety net of your experience and what you've learned. What you want to do is play with these ideas. Imagine what could happen if that were possible. One of the worksheets that I will be sending you touches on this and how you can start to examine the truths that God has for you and start to believe in them more fully. Hang on a second, because I did two different things here and I want to look at the other page. Yeah, I kind of fleshed this out a little. If I actually believed this today, this week, how would I make decisions? What would I look for? These are good questions, right? If I believed this thing that God is telling me, if I believed it, what would I look for? What would I prioritize today or this week? Who would I ask for help if I believed that this were true? What would I let go of? And then you want to start taking small leaps. Start actually living that faith in tiny ways so that your experience has time to catch up. So that you can start to go, oh yeah, that's legit. This is true. I can see it. Here's the proof. So far, our experience, because we've created it, has been negative in a lot of these ways. The next thing that we want to do, this is the hard part, you guys, is to start to begin the practice of being present in our lives. And I know that we all were like, yeah, I'd love to be more present. What that's going to look like in practice is you very consciously planning time to focus on your mind and your emotions in a given moment before you check out of it, right? The good news is you don't have to actually do that in the present. Who knows this? Tell me if you knew this. You can work on being more present after the fact. Are you with me? Didn't know that. Yeah, this is what makes it so hard, you guys, is we think that to be present, so to get better at being present, we have to be present. Well, that's hard because we're already not present, right? The way that you can work on being present, yeah, I will elaborate, is to set aside time. Now, we're here because we want more time, right? So you have to believe that what I'm telling you, that what I've told you so far is the truth, and like that you can change all of this, because otherwise you're not going to give yourself this time. You won't give yourself time to practice something new. You're going to go back into the I have to get things done. You have to believe that there's a different way to do this. So if you believe that, you set aside some time to think about a moment that you checked out of. Oh, I spent hours on the phone today. What happened right before that? That's the moment where you weren't able to stay present. And what you want to do is just, to the best of your ability, think about what you were thinking and feeling in that moment. Right? Because the feeling is what kicks you out. We're not able to stay present because in a present moment, we feel a certain way and then we kick out. Now, we created that feeling. That's what my coaching is designed to help you learn and undo. So I will be helping you do that, but it's good just to see, like, what was the emotion? Some of mine, like what really kicks me out of an experience. Honestly, guys, think about how you feel when you don't think you have enough time. That'll kick me out of the present moment. I do not, like, I'm sitting there with my kids, right? We're playing. I want to be present. I want to experience fullness of life with them. And I'm going, oh, I need to make sure I get shit done today. What's on my list? I don't remember what's on my list. Let's go get my list. Oh yeah, the email. You know what? I'm going to forget that. I better do the email. And suddenly I have not played with my children, or, you know, I was there, but I wasn't there because I don't think I have enough time to get everything done, or because of the way I'm thinking about that moment. Or because of, like, I might feel bored too. But honestly, let's stick with the time thing. There's a lot of different emotions, but if you guys are thinking that you don't have enough time to get everything done so that you can have a full life, like, honestly, that'll kick you out of every single moment that you have, because you'll always be trying to make sure you do more and do faster and do better. Okay. So being present, you can do that after, and what you want to start doing is see more of what does that to you. What am I thinking about? What am I feeling that makes me escape? Step 2 of being present is working closer and closer to that moment where you feel really uncomfortable, whatever that feeling is, that urgency, that rushed, that pressure. Step 2, and this is where you become a ninja, is allowing yourself to feel safe with that emotion, right? If I can be with my girls and I feel that urgency, that it's in my chest, it's like this pressure, it's my skin feels funny. This is how feelings actually feel, by the way. We all talk about feelings very cerebrally. Your feelings are body sensations. You will feel your feelings in your body. So when my body starts to tingle, my chest feels like it's expanding, and that's really uncomfortable, and I want to go do something to escape that feeling, I actually can make myself feel very safe there by going, let's just drop into my body. Let's just pay attention to my body. I'm going to sit with myself and feel how this feels in my arms, in my chest, and my shoulders. That's how you stay in a moment. That's how you stay present. The good news is that if you do that, what you've given yourself is the chance to alter your experience. Ding! She brought it back. I'm so proud of myself. If you can stay present, then you can change your experience, which means it will be much easier to stay present. And you change how you experience time in that moment. Shoot me some questions. Who's with me? Where are you confused? If so, what other questions do you have? I want that to dictate where this goes. I'm here. How do you change it? I love you. Have we met? I can't remember if we have met. Because my brain doesn't let me remember these things when I'm in a call like this. We have not met. We should meet. I love you. Okay. I'm assuming that's going to be what's on everybody's mind. How you change it is you change what you are thinking about. Don't freak out. But first you need to notice what that thought was. And you need to be like, it's being okay with the feeling that's going to let you find those thoughts. And you have this amazing ability, this God-given ability to choose what you think. And what I teach my clients is that we want to choose what we're thinking based on our goals. There's so many things available to you that you could be thinking at any given time. And what happens is as we grow from childhood on, lots of thoughts become automatic. They get hooked onto a trigger. And a lot of times those triggers are our emotions. So if you feel rushed, you're going to be like, I got to go do something. That thought's going to enter your mind. Let's get it done. We don't think, ooh, I'm pressuring myself into a rushed emotion. I wonder what thought I need to change. that doesn't enter our minds. It does mine now because I've retrained. Like, oh, hey, oh, honey, you are not feeling good right now. What we need to do is the opposite of running to get things done. What's going on? I just lost my train of thought on my, oh, honey thing. Where was I going? I cannot remember. I will find it. We were talking about feelings being present so you can access your mind. So you're programmed in some ways by what your parents think, by what you experience. And for those of us with ADHD, we take in information in kind of a weird way. It's not prioritized very well initially. And that tends to create certain habitual thoughts for us. And those habitual thoughts cause emotions that make it hard to get things done. That's the long and short of ADHD from me. We can change that too. So you've grown up with these thoughts and they've become very automatic. And once a thought is automatic, it feels true. It just feels like the only option. What we want to do is spend our time, this time that we currently believe we don't have enough of, looking at the options. What else is possible? What else is true? Like, here's an example. If I'm talking to a room of 10 people and 9 of them come up and say, "You're amazing, we love you." And the 10th one says, "You're so stupid, I hate your hair, and this was the dumbest event I've ever been to." He hates me is the thought that's available to me, and apparently true. He thinks he hates me anyway. They love me is also a thought that is true. How do I decide which one of those to think? Well, our brains want us to choose that he hates me. You'll notice this. If you start to spend time, you get stuck on the one guy. Here's why, because he feels dangerous. It feels dangerous to have a negative emotion, to have someone in a social setting be what we feel is rejecting us. And our bodies prioritize escaping the danger. And we want to escape emotional danger. And this is where we want to start to like override our brains and our bodies. We want to create safety in our nervous system for sure. But we also want to go, am I really in danger here? How do I create the best case scenario? Like, how do I get what I want? Do I focus on this guy? Do I focus on the 9? What happens if I focus on this guy? Well, I lose the 9. I mean, in a speaking setting, if I'm focused on my hater, I act very small. I don't talk about what matters to the people who actually care about me, right? Or I check out of the moment entirely. Somebody makes a negative comment, I'm like, oh no, and now I can't say anything because my emotions are so jacked up. I'm going off on some tangents here. Is everybody following me? Let's zone it back in. What was the original question? How do you do that? How do you change that? Yeah. So we have habitual thoughts. We're pre-programmed. What we want to start to do is go, what else could be true? What else is possible here? And one of the things that's possible that I want you to start figuring out is that all of this fullness of life that I think is out there is here. It's actually available right now. I'll give you examples of this. But if you can stay present, stay with that feeling, start looking at what you're thinking, you can start to start to take your brain and say, where is the peace? Like, where is the thing that will help me be peaceful right now? Where is the thing that's how can I have an adventure right now before I make all the money to buy the RV so that we can go on trips? One of our goals is to spend time homeschooling on the road. One of our passions is to take long hiking trips. Well, right now my husband's ill. He has a chronic illness. He's very weak. We're not hiking. How do I find the joy that I get hiking or going on a trip? Find the wonder. How do I find that here and now? If I think I have no time, I have no time to think about that kind of thing. And if I think that fullness of life is out there, I don't have time to think about that. When I get present and start to look at the experience I'm creating, I can start to create the experience I want now. And it's by finding the truth that helps me reach my goals. Somebody made a comment. Let me read. Ooh, I get the urge to clean whenever someone is mad at me. It's been a how to get out of trouble type thing, right? Cleaning will solve the problem. And sometimes it's a thing I go to over figuring out why someone is mad. Same, Audrey, same. Yeah. Now that's good to know. Like, as soon as you notice that can be your cue. Like, oh, I'm cleaning. How did I get here? I didn't really plan to be cleaning. Oh, there was an emotion. Oh, I'm really uncomfortable because he, she, they are mad at me. What am I thinking that's causing that discomfort? What was that? What made me get here? Now you're cleaning, so you've got mental space, like you can think about it. This doesn't have to be a big, heavy thing. Just start where you are. And it always, 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 you guys, needs to come back to your thinking. Time is a mental construct. The creation of the experience that you want is also a mental construct. What you think will create the experience that will make your life feel full. So it is imperative for us, if we don't feel like we have enough time, it's imperative for us to take the time to figure out how to create the experience that will make it worth it. How do I create the experience for myself that will make it feel like I have enough time? This is the start to realize, oh, more time is not the answer. Creating the experience is the answer. And if somebody else has control of the experience, or I have to go get it, then what I'm doing is I'm making this rushed, like this to-do list that I'll never quite get done, never quite have enough time. Because who makes the to-do list? Actually, that's a good question. Because we might think that the answer is we make it. But one of the worksheets that I'm going to send you has you think about when I'm thinking the answers are out there, like I have to go get something, money, travel, a house, a job, right? I have to go get those things so that I can have what I want. We will have a list of rules about how we're supposed to do that. I have to have a clean house, and this is what it means to have a clean house, and we'll have these rules. And they're examples of thoughts that we have not questioned. We just haven't ever challenged the idea that they're true. But let me give you an example of how I recently challenged that. The worksheets that I have already promised everyone on my email list, they're not done. I have not finished them. And I had an hour before this call, before this webinar, and my brain was saying, you must get those done. Like you must use this 60 minutes to complete the worksheets that you promised everyone ahead of time. And I said, whoop, hold on. How is that going to make me feel? What experience will that create me to believe that I have to do that? Do I have to? What are my other options? This is what working in this field and being trained to do this offers me. It's like I never fully believe what I'm thinking. I always ask myself if there's something that would serve me a little better. What did I do instead? Because I skipped ahead of myself. I decided, no, I don't have to. I will just tell everyone, you're going to get these worksheets on Tuesday. I'm going to do them sometime this weekend. They're like plotted out. They're just not pretty. And then I will send them to you with the replay on Tuesday. Now, I maybe risk somebody going, oh, that's not very professional. But what I gave myself was a really beautiful full hour where I prayed, went over my notes, got myself in a great headspace, and felt super confident coming on here instead of coming on to a webinar about time like this. I barely made it. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? Do you see how that worked? Like there was a rule, there was a thought in my head that I broke up with. I was like, there's another option. I never thought to do that. I usually just should myself into a panic. Yes. Now, I do that too. I'm not perfect. I should myself into panics. But taking you take your whole life and go, well, my living room is supposed to be clean before I have people over. Really? Why? What am I, like, how do I want to feel when I have people over? What experience do I want to have? Now, I like to do that to myself because it makes me clean the whole house. I have people over, I invite them over, so I will speed clean my house. That's a useful technique. Feels great. But some of us, that's not how it feels. It feels shameful, and we will use it to not have the experience of human connection because the house isn't clean, so they can't come over, so I can't connect to them. I need more time so I can finally clean, so I can finally connect. Maybe we just cross off that rule, the have to, and we just bring people over to a dirty house. And we say, hey, if you can stay in my house, I want you to come over. Or can I come to yours? Because I'd love to connect with you, but I'm kind of ashamed of my house. But yes, my living room must be clean. Maybe it doesn't have to be. This is an example, like our experience is being created by a lot of have tos. Actually, if you guys start to look at how often you feel pressured, rushed, and then just ask yourself a simple question: what am I believing I have to do? I have to take the kid to gymnastics. I have to write a blog post. I write a blog post every Wednesday. It has to be done today. Does it? One of the reasons we put have tos on ourselves is because we don't think that we'll get it done unless we do that. I have to be on time for work. That's a great question. Sometimes I have to is useful and good. When your life is full of them, it's not, because what does it do? Like, how does that feel to think I have to? If you're using it for just like, I have to be on time for work and not for anything else, probably super functional. Right. Adriana or Adriana, which one is it? Constant state of stress. I have to. And suddenly, like, you're not doing anything you want to do. Banana. Adriana. Perfect. Except I'm still not on time for work, so it's not even working. That's useful. Now you're stressed and you're not on time, and you're more stressed about that. Right? You want to take a step back and look at life. This is how I've started to look at my life. I'm doing a lot of messing with my hair, you guys. I don't know what is up. It's very nice though, right? Looks good today. Checking out your life from an I want to, what do I want to do? And then making all of it an I want to. And here's how you make like monotonous things an I want to, is you figure out what that's a part of. What is this thing that I have to do a part of? You connect it to as many big goals that you have, things that you want as possible, so that being on time to work, one thing that would be useful for me in that situation, I have another thought that I think is better. I'll keep going the way that I was going. One thing that would be useful is to go, the experience that I want to have is to be a person who doesn't feel rushed. Showing up 15 minutes early helps with that. Like, I get to walk in feeling super confident because I was just there. I really want that for myself. I want to offer myself that. Then this is the part that we really don't have time to cover in this webinar, is then you start to creatively plan to spend to solve your problems, creatively plan to solve the problems of how do I get what I want. I'm going to say that again, because I think I was a little especially those of us with ADHD or creatives, anyone who's been gifted by God with creativity, which is a lot of people. I just think ADHDers have this really cool ability to go like, wah, wah, la, I found this really cool thing when we started talking about bees, and now I'm talking about cardboard, and I don't know. Your mind can do crazy things. Like mine just did, and now I don't know what I was talking about. Solving problems. When you take off the pressure, when there's not a rush because I don't have enough time, you take off that pressure. Now you can think creatively. If you have enough time, now you can think creatively. And if you're solving a problem for something you want to do instead of have to do, it's going to be fun. Ooh. I'm going to increase my confidence by this one little thing. How am I going to do this? Okay. I'm going to be present so I can figure out why the heck I'm always late. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? Why am I late? Then I'm going to solve that creatively. So it's always going to come back. It's always going to come back to how we're thinking and feeling. And if you don't think you have enough time, you're not going to adjust how you think and feel. You're not going to allow yourself to be creative. Who did that? Julie? Julie. If you want, tell me more about that. Like if I answered your question, if I helped, or if you're still like, I'm still not sure. Let me know if you're still not sure. We'll talk about it more because I feel like I was muddled when I talked about that. Creatively solving your problems is what goal setting is for me. I think I was going somewhere with that too. There's so many things I want to tell you guys. So that's an example. Like there's so much I want to do. There's so much I want to tell you. I could use that to make myself feel super uncomfortable. Like I didn't do enough with this time. Or I could use it to feel great. Like, ooh, I have content for days. Like there's the next several webinars, there's so much to talk about. It's so exciting. 2 optional thoughts. I didn't get to talk about enough is one. I have so much more to discuss and I can't wait to share it next time. That's another. Okay, guys. This is fun. Ask me questions about anything if you want to. This is kind of the fullness of what I had to talk to you about. There is lots more. Actually, I wrote that down too. Here's some of the things I didn't talk about. If I can find the page. I lost the page. There it is. How to use a schedule to avoid decision fatigue, confusion, impulsive action taking, how to follow through on the schedule that you make. It's all going to come down to your thoughts and your feelings every time. How to safely feel emotions for long enough to change them. We did talk about that a little. Could go into more detail on that. How to break up with an old belief and believe a new belief more strongly. Talked about that a little too. Rocked it out, didn't I? How to want things without being miserable until you get them. This is something that I don't even know if we're thinking about this, but like wanting something can be painful. So sometimes we try not to want. So the key is to want where you are and where you're going. That's a whole nother webinar. I cannot wait to do that one, by the way. The more that you create an experience you love right now, the more you'll be willing to play with how to get what you're going after, because there's not a rush anymore. It's not about time anymore. Like you're happy where you are and you want where you're going, which is a fabulous place to be. Like how much better could it get than being happy and also excited? This is the thing. How to deal with other people's disappointment, because when you start to break the rules, when you start to do things like to say, actually, I don't have to, somebody's going to be upset. It's true. Which is when you get to ask yourself, do I have to make sure everybody's happy? That's another webinar, right? So I think, what's this? Adriana says, oh. So I think I processed the webinar idea properly. If I want to create more time, I have to alter how I feel about the moment to create a different experience. Correct? Correct. Yeah. So imagine like if you alter how you feel in a moment, number one, you're not going to make decisions about how you spend your time from a rushed, unhappy place. Right? When you're rushed, oh, we missed this. How do you decide what to do when you feel rushed? I want some participation on this one. This is an important question. Like for you guys, have you noticed that when you feel rushed, how do you decide what to do? How do you decide how long to do it for? We have two perfect examples. One, which ball is going to drop the fastest? Rick. And I take a nap and avoid it all. Yeah, the most pressing thing. So, like, what's pressing? That's a great question. How does something become pressing? A lot of us will do, here's how a lot of us decide. Number one, it's just the closest, it's the first thing we think about. Or it's the nearest, it's the first thing we see. I'll run through my house and be like, what needs to be done? Ah, no, this needs to be done because I saw it immediately after asking that question. Doesn't mean that it actually needed to be done. It just means that my brain was like, oh, thank God, something. I feel rushed, I gotta do something. So could be the closest thing, first thing we see, first thing we think of. Could be the easiest thing. Like, oh, there's so much to do. I'm gonna do something that I feel like I can do. Could be the thing that somebody else really wants. Which, how sad is that? How many of it we do this? We're doing what other people want because we feel so rushed that their insistence is like, we latch onto that. Like, oh, they need the emails. I must send the email. If you're not feeling rushed, you might have the presence of mind to go, they don't, like, what are they going to do if I don't send this until 8 p.m. tonight when I have a little more space? Are they really? Do I have to respond immediately? And then there's this, but if I don't respond, I won't remember to. We do this, right? That's a problem to solve creatively. That's a problem to take and go, okay, I see I do this thing where if I don't respond immediately, I forget. I would like that to not happen anymore. I have plenty of time to figure that out. Let's do it. Let's play with it. And because I don't think I mentioned this, the ways that I like to decide how to do, if I'm gonna kick all the have tos, right? Well, how do I decide what to do and how? I go with what is the easiest way, or what is the most fun way, either simple, easy, or fun, or purposeful, which is kind of the same as fun for me. Like if it really matters, it's really interesting to me to do this task or to get the thing I'm after. Like there's kind of two layers of that. Here's what I want. Here's how I think I have to get it. Here's what I think I need to do to get it. And here's how I think I have to do that thing. What I want is to feel like spacious and in my home and feel like I'm surrounded by beauty. The way that I have to do that is by having a spotless home, decorated in the newest fashions. Okay. Do I have to do that? Maybe not. Even if I want to do that, like what's the easiest and most fun way to do that? For me, it's get rid of like 75% of the crap. Just go, make it go away. I have gotten rid of so much of my stuff and it feels fabulous, but it didn't at first. Adriana says, definitely spending my time prioritizing everyone else's desires. Okay, thank you for bringing me back. So when you feel rushed, that's how you decide what to do with your time. And what I want to offer is that if you believe you create your fullness of life, then you want to decide what to do based on that from a feeling of like, I control this. Time is mine to use. What do I want? what kind of activities today would give me that? Like, what would I need to do? What would I need to think today to have that experience? And how do I go after what I want in the future in a way that's easy and fun and purposeful, and like, again, giving me the experience that I want as I go after it? Does that make sense to everybody? I'm happy to reframe. Cool. Cool. Okay. Yes, say it again. Let me see. I'll be like this message, I will be saying as many times as I possibly can in different ways as I possibly can over the, like, probably the rest of my life. So you believe you have no time. You believe you have no time, and you believe that to be happy, essentially, let's just call it happiness, fullness of life, you have to go do a bunch of stuff. Those two things make you feel bad and rushed. From bad and rushed, you either avoid doing anything, or you make decisions based on urgency, based on what will get you out of that rush feeling. How do I feel like I'm productive? We want to feel productive, right? We want to feel productive because it'll bump us out of that rushed feeling. But avoiding feeling rushed is not a good reason to make a decision, right? To avoid that rushed feeling, to work as fast as you can. Not how we want to be doing this. What we want to do is believe that fullness of life is available right now, and that we can have it out pursuing a bunch of stuff, that we can shape our experience and take the time to make decisions from that place. Like, I have what I need. God gave me what I needed for happiness and fullness of life now. Where am I missing that? How many things on that list are just like not necessary if I can have happiness now? One of the things that was recently, like, I recently gave myself back so much time. Here are some of the thoughts that I discovered. One of them was, I really thought I had to make this photo album of last year, 2021. Was it 2021? Either that or the year before. No, it was last year. I have to make this photo album. And every day I was thinking about the photo album and how I hadn't gotten it done because there was a problem with my iCloud photos and blah, 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 blah. And finally I went, why do I want that photo album? Why? Let's slow down. Let's just think about this. Well, so I could feel like nostalgia and look back at these pictures of my kids and be like, oh, so in the future, like, I'm planning for the future so that I can look back and feel a certain way. And it occurred to me that in doing so, I'm making sure I don't feel good now, feeling constantly rushed. So, like, I'd be looking back at those photos going, yeah, that was a miserable year. I never got anything done. I would much rather look at my bookshelf and go, never did that 2021 album because I was enjoying my children. I would rather have that. I would rather go, I didn't get the photo album. And then they're digital, most likely in 10 years. If I decide to go do the last 10 years worth of albums, I can do that. Right now I have babies and they take up a lot of energy. And I could just be enjoying them. So I just said, not doing the photo album. And nobody died. My future self may feel a pang of regret. That's totally fine. We'll talk about it when we get there. Okay. Other questions? Does anybody want to chat with me live? Because I'm down. I got another 20 minutes that I've decided to use for you if you want it. We also don't have to, because if this is your first experience with me, you can be scared. I get it. Me now, feeling rushed to furnish my house perfectly. God has given me enough now. Whoa, not furnishing it because others want me to. Yeah. Yeah, here's my experience with something similar to that. I will identify, like I'll be looking around my house and I'll be like, something needs to go in that space. And I start to like imagine something needs to go there. Or like I don't have a nightstand. There's a empty wine barrel with a wicker basket. I'm not going to show you because it's a mess. Beside my office is my bedroom. It's not a nightstand. And my brain sees that and it goes, I want a nightstand. And when you identify that, then you start to be like, I need to get that. I need to get that. I need to get that. When you slow down and ask yourself, what is it really that I'm wanting here? What is it? I want to feel like, the click of, and now it's perfect. Notice how that's a thought. Now it's perfect. Okay. Oh, cool, girl. I'll bring you on. I have noticed that I can think that about my house now, and then like back it up. Here's the important, this is important, right? You don't want to positive think yourself. You want to possible think yourself, and then offer, like ask yourself why it's true. It's the most important question you can ask is like, how is it true that now my house is perfect? If that, that was my thought, right? So how is it already true? It's perfect because, and then I'll go down the list. Like we have everything we need, like there are things to do. I love having things to do. I love having something to hunt for. I love having bargains to hunt for. Like, how is my house beautiful now? How is it so comfortable now? And to start to answer that so that you can enjoy it now. And I'm going to find a nightstand. I'm just not in a hurry. I'm going to find the perfect nightstand. But I don't have to do it now because I'm uncomfortable. I can be like, oh, it is perfect because while I have this wine barrel nightstand, it reminds me that I used to be a sommelier and I know so much about wine. I could talk about wine for 3 weeks without stopping. You'd have to like feed me fluids. So to sum all that up, ask it, like if you realize what you think you're going to get, and then ask yourself how you have it to provide evidence for that. You can give yourself space. Doesn't mean you can't go out and get that thing you want, but it's so much more fun to go get the thing you want while feeling good about what you have, who you are. That's how I want to do my life, is to be like, this rocks. Now I'm going to go do other cool stuff. Courtney, you're so supportive. I love you. All right. Adriana, let's talk. We have 15 minutes. We can talk about one thought, which is all you ever really need. That's another thing, you guys. You don't have to like do a ton of stuff. You don't have to fix everything. Work on one thought at a time, one moment at a time, one topic at a time. It'll change your whole life.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. It won't let me. You can't see me, but I can see you.
It won't let you, or you don't want to?
Oh, I would like to. It just won't let me.
That's probably something on my end. I just started webinars and I might have a setting thing let me see if I can adjust that. Nope, sure can't. That's a
no worries. Well, I have brown skin and a gap in short hair, if that's helpful for anybody's visual needs.
All right.
This has been awesome. I really appreciate this. I know this was about time, but I got so many more nuggets from all of the other things that you said. And especially love the possible thinking over positive thinking. Like those little brain explosion emojis have, like, I wanted to send more, but I was like, Adriana, you're taking up too much of the chat. So,
Good. Yeah, positive thinking sucks, you guys. Don't ever do it. Highly not recommend.
I'm realizing that now. The Lord's really been working with me on giving myself grace. And then I can rationalize things for other people and think logically and say, this is not that big of a deal. For myself, everything's a huge deal. The world is ending and it's very dramatic. And and I'm like, okay, Adriana, calm down. It's not
Yeah.
But then the other part of me is like, oh my gosh, like if I don't do this, the world's gonna crash and burn. And but
Yeah.
that, to me, I know that that's arrogant to think like that the things that I have to do are that important to everyone else's existence. And so
That's it. I want to draw your attention to something real quick. That like, so we are only given our own experience. And when we encounter other people, all we have is that. So we'll see what they do, we'll hear what they say, we'll see facial expressions, and we interpret it through the lens of this is what I would be experiencing if that's what I was doing or saying, or looking like. And the more that you start to, in your own mind, see the options, the less we will make other people's lives about us or like so tied to us. The more that you see like, oh, there's a bazillion different ways to look at this, I can just choose, the more we're able to let other people be who they are and like not make it about us. So it's funny that like making it about you long enough to do the work on yourself,
yeah,
not make it about you.
that's super helpful. I just wrote that down. That's really helpful. I have a question on how you give yourself grace as you're learning, because giving grace to other people, very easy. Love to do it. Myself, it's hardcore. Like, Adriana, pull it together. We need, like, I know God gives me grace, so I should, my brain, see, I'm shooting myself to death. But I know that God gives us grace and we get new grace, new mercy every day. And then, but then for whatever reason, for myself, I am just like, nope, you get no more chances.
Yeah.
I have to give myself more chances.
What is giving yourself grace? What would it look like? Or what is giving someone else grace look like? Does it look like something to them?
Having patience or letting something go very quickly, like not holding on to it. And if they repeated the thing, most things to me aren't that big of a deal. But like if something occurred more than once, like you get several times before I'm like, well, okay, now. But for the most part, it's very easy to let people off the hook, almost to the point where I forget my boundaries with people. But learning to extend my boundaries with myself to say, Adriana, you're learning, and that is okay.
Yeah.
So how do you do that?
Yeah. So how do I do that? I think it's useful. It's useful to ask me how I do it, but more useful will be for you, and I'll tell you how I do it. But more useful for you will be to think about how you would need to feel and what you would need to believe about yourself in order to do that. And then to look really hard at why your brain doesn't want to let you believe that. Like, what do you believe about other people that you would need to believe about yourself when you're feeling so patient and so willing to let go?
I just think like I gotta love them like Jesus because I'm supposed to. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So for you, I gotta love me like Jesus because I'm supposed to. Doesn't work.
No, it'll work. I'm sitting with the emotion and the feeling, and my body's uncomfortable.
Yeah. So that discomfort is a sign about something. Like most of us Most of us feel like if we were to give ourselves grace, something bad would happen. At least my experience. Is that true for you? What do you think would happen if you loved you like this?
I really don't know. Like well, hold on. Like, do I sometimes have an impending sense of doom? Yes. Is it warranted? Not necessarily. I know it's from previous experience and unlearning those thought processes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good one, Julie. I hate being late, so that's a big one. But I know it's from previous experiences, from like early childhood, and I know that I'm working past that, and I get better every day. But it's still like where you're still in a protective bubble of like, I don't want to experience anything ever again that doesn't like happy emotions. Like even when I get angry, I'm mad at myself because I'm angry, because I'm like, this is not the time for anger. We need to pull it together and move forward and change our thinking to be more positive. And that's again where the positive thing sucks.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, correct me if this is not true for you, but I don't want to experience this again.
Mhm.
Is a thought that I think is tied to the grace, right? If I give myself grace, I might have to experience this again. I don't want to. My best shot at not experiencing it again is to condemn myself.
Ooh,
Right?
yeah. Yeah, that's it. You you hit the nail on the head. Okay.
Yeah.
I've
Now,
never thought of that.
it's chew on that. Then you want to ask yourself one step further, like, is that working?
Oh, no, it's okay.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's useful to look at, like, the Bible paints us a picture of that. Like, did the law eradicate sin? No, it didn't. So God used grace. He planned that all along to show us, like, okay, you can't do this away. Like, you need Jesus. What would happen if you were willing to experience it again? And it's not, I don't want you to think like, okay, let's just give up and be bad at this forever. What would happen if you were willing to experience it again and wanted to improve?
I would just be uncomfortable an additional time. That's all I can feel.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know until I actually do that. But the only thing that's coming to my mind is that I would just be uncomfortable and have to deal with that discomfort.
Yeah.
The other times or not. I don't know. I tend to stay uncomfortable for a long period of time. Because and I've been working very hard, but something will stick with me for days and days and days. And I'm just like, I need to think about something else. I need to think about something different. And in order to like get out of that, I have to sing. I have to like praise and worship, because I know it's like a spirit of anxiety. And I'm like, that doesn't belong to me. I need to do something different. Why? Like, I don't sit to think why, other than like, this is a thing that shouldn't exist. Let me sing it away.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's some thoughts for you. That experience, the worst thing that we experience is always how we feel. Like, the only reason we don't want to go through an experience is because we're not comfortable with that emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So when we are willing to feel that emotion, whatever comes up. So like, I think as Julie was talking about being late, like when I'm late, if I'm willing to experience the shame of that, I'm like, okay, maybe that's part of how I give myself grace, is I sit with myself while I feel bad. I like, I'm trying to think of something that I would have really needed. Yeah, I have a good example for you. Okay. story time. So I guest coach once a month in a friend of mine's group. Some of you may have heard of it. It's Focused. It's Kristen Carter's group. And it was a couple of weeks ago. It wasn't too long ago. We were supposed to, like, Kristen wanted to make sure everyone knew that we were supportive. Or we wanted to support anyone who wanted to talk about the war, Putin's war in Ukraine. And the way that I said that, like, heart full of compassion, the way that I said it, I used some words and an energy that was actually supposed to be self-deprecating, but it came off as casual, like, the war, if you want to talk about it, we can. I don't think I called it war. Someone, a Ukrainian woman, I believe, wrote in to my colleague, boss, and was deeply offended by the way that I talked about it. And I, like, when I found out about that, and I looked at what I had said, I was like, oh no, that was so insensitive. That was so full of privilege, like being raised in Midwestern America and not having to know what's going on, right? Not needing to be informed because it didn't touch anybody in my life. And I could have died. I felt so bad, I felt so ashamed. And it like triggered past moments where I was like, I'm never going to be enough. Like, I'm trying as hard as I can. I'm never going to be enough. So giving myself grace for that meant, like, staying present with myself while I felt ashamed. And it's almost like I was sitting next to myself saying, yeah, this feels really bad. I'm here. I got you. We're going to get through this. We're going to keep feeling it. As I did that, the feeling started to get light enough that I could think about what was going on, and realized I didn't want to, like, I wanted to be part of the solution. I didn't want this to be about me and my past trauma. I didn't want it to keep going. I wanted to go help. I want to not be insensitive. Cool. I have power over that. I can go learn what the heck's going on. The shame made me, like, run away, but sitting with it allowed me to decide what I wanted. So I don't know if I'm answering your question. I feel like the story might have gone too far.
No, you've clarified.
Good. So it's being able to embrace the experience of that feeling allowed me the presence of mind to start thinking about what I wanted to do. And because I wasn't rushing to fix it, what I wanted to do initially was, like, defend myself. I wanted to be like, you know what? I did the best I could. I was coming from a great place. Like, I said, we can coach about Ukraine. Like, what do you want from me? And because I sat with it and gave myself grace and let myself experience this negative emotion, I was able to decide, you know, what I want to do is I want to tell her, I'm sorry, and I'm ignorant, and I'm privileged, and what can I do? Like, let's make this better. And I'm going to be culturally insensitive again. This is remember this, you guys. We're going to be late again. We're going to be messy again. We're going to be stupid again. We're going to be lazy again. We're going to do all those things again. Your experience of them will depend on how you treat yourself in that moment. And getting better depends on how you treat yourself in that moment. I don't become less ignorant, right, by defending myself. I don't become more on time by getting so mad at myself that here's what I do when I get mad at myself for something, is I vow to be better. I'm going to be better. I'll be on time for everything. And, like, maybe I'm super on time for things for the next, 12 hours. Then I'm not again, because I stopped totally focusing on only that. And then we repeat the process. If I'm like, okay, all right, this feels awful. Here's what I'm thinking about myself. That's not the only truth. Like, am I disrespectful? Sure. I'm also very respectful. What do I want? I would like to be on time next time. Okay, brain, let's work on that. I hope that was helpful.
Very helpful. Very helpful.
Okay, good. Good. All right, folks, we are out of time. Adrienne, thank you so much for participating.
Thank you.
Brave. I love you.
I love you.
All right, everybody. I'm planning to do probably a webinar every month, more if I get into like a good rhythm. The next one, I haven't totally decided. It'll probably be something about like how to want what you have and what you're pursuing, and how to set goals in a way that makes them really fun and really engaging instead of the misery that we bring to them. Oh, thank you. I love this blouse too. Oh my gosh, my brain just went on one of those. I had 4 things I want to tell you now that I'm not going to do. Okay, thank you. So keep your eyes on the email list or my Instagram, wherever you follow me the best. And I'll be talking about what I want to discuss next time, and ask some people for, like, I'll probably have a few subjects and say, hey, which one of these do you really want? So other than that, you will all get a replay of this and the worksheets when I get them done, probably Tuesday at the latest. Okay, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. Bye-bye.